So did EA just completely forget that they released Anthem for every system? Not just a year ago, but we're talking like a few months at the most. Now, ladies and gentlemen, when I first got my hands on this game, when I first got the ability to review this game, it was through a free copy that I got from my graphic card at the time. And I guess I never gave EA the money there. That was the money they got from like Nvidia on a deal or some shit. That was about it. So I never really bought Anthem. I guess I technically got the game for free. And I still wasn't that impressed. And my only real positive point for Anthem at the time was it looks pretty, I guess. That's about the only glaring review that I could have given it. And to this day, I'll still say Anthem looks pretty, and that's kind of about it. Now, this game has sort of come out and almost just died out on the forefront. Usually by this point, we would start to see like these games get new seasons or like a new little injection of content, usually a month after its release. But this game has sort of completely flown under the radar to the point where I was looking at today's E3 EA Play schedule that they had. And when you've got The Sims 4 in your schedule, but not fucking Anthem, a game that probably is one of your most recent releases out of all the stuff you're showing us, that's scary. Now, looking at the Reddit board for Anthem, the game, they've got about 182,000 members, 1.7 thousand people online, and their Reddit board is savage as fuck, dude. They talk about all of the stuff that BioWare is missing out on. So lately there's a big loot problem that BioWare, I guess, has talked about but refuses to really comment and fix on. They've done a stream of this game a week ago, which I'll get to in a bit. The game has dropped to like $19 now, and I believe this is Australian pricing, so it's not the most priciest of games you can find right now, like $19. like this game has definitely not succeeded in the best ways possible. You've got posts where they're talking about the biggest problem may just be the competition, which I totally disagree. The game itself needs to have been completed. Is the game even worth playing? I like Anthem is currently so even the price drops are getting totally brought up for full force into it. The game's community doesn't really enjoy this game as much as it really should be support. I guess it's weird, and for a game that has so many people who are developing it, such a big development time, it's been an interesting situation. Like, this is not a cheap endeavor by EA. So this is probably one of EA's most expensive production, hands down, if I'm going to be totally real. And they just let this shit completely drop under the radar. This game has completely fallen out of grace. I have not seen anything come out of EA, any press channel that I'm a part of, nothing really coming out. And of course, the game's player base has dwindled. Its online streaming presence has dwindled. And now I'm wondering, has EA forgotten or completely silently killed the game off? For me, I still hope Anthem comes back forward because, you know, when I play a game, I can see that there are some positives to it, and Anthem has some positives. I think if its story can get a little bit more worked on, it might get a little more fleshed out, it will be an interesting thing to play. The world looks pretty, the gameplay, yeah, it's all right for what a looter shooter is. I think Anthem has some merits to it. And do I think it can come back? Absolutely, dude. If Rainbow Six Siege can come back and be one of my favorite shooters of all time, if No Man's Sky can be another addiction, especially from what it was at launch, I have no doubt that BioWare could fix up Anthem for whatever it's worth. This game has absolutely released, and it had a terrible launch, you know, Fallout 76x proportion of a launch, and EA, to an extent, when I said BioWare was in trouble, I really do think BioWare's in trouble. This might just be another EA situation where a studio that's created a game that EA has dipped their sort of hand into, sort of pissed into the stream of, and now that game's come out, and it comes out with this horribly microtransaction game, a shell of a game, and now we're just going to blame the developers for it. And now there's obviously a big, there's obviously a lot of fault being given over here. You know, BioWare didn't exactly do the best job making this game. EA obviously isn't the fucking greatest publisher. This game, however, deserves a bit better. Now, it's come out, and there is definitely a drought in content. This game has definitely dwindled down to the point where it's not being recognized by EA anymore. And if it is, it's very diminished. When E3, the thing about it, if you look at it, E3 is a big event for video gaming. Whether you're a part of it or not, you're typically advertising your stuff around here. We all know Sony wasn't a part of E3, but in a way they kind of are. When you showcase games in that time frame, you're basically a part of E3 without being E3. I consider E3 sort of a time frame of when game developers show what they got coming forward. So when EA comes out with the EA Play and the schedule, and you got games like Apex Legends, an update for Apex Legends, that shows up. You've got Star Wars, which looked okay. It kind of looked like an Uncharted Dark Souls type mix of a video game. I have to see more, but kudos to Respawn for keep pushing away. When you've got problems, when you've got Battlefield 5 showing in its case, and Battlefield 5 was also a trash dumpster fire of a launch, but that at least came out. It's Battlefield, it's going to survive. When you've got EA sports games taking up an hour and then Sims 4, but nothing about Anthem, you got to remember these shows are planned months in advance. You've got PR teams working around the clock, talking with each of these teams, telling them this is what you got to show this E3. They plan out a show, and that's how it works in the sphere. So they weren't even fucking approached. They said, you know what, your game, you should just stream it on your own. Because maybe it's not big enough to show at E3. And again, this is all pretty speculative right now, but you kind of get what I'm saying, Ed, with this point in time. Anthem is a game that's come out. BioWare is refusing to really comment on a lot of its problems. And I'm glad the community on the Reddit board and all over are actually taking BioWare to task. There should be no way that you can defend the lack of commitment, the lack of communication that BioWare has given to this big, expansive production that's probably one of their biggest evers, absolutely giving people kind of a dick of a game to begin with. There is no reason why EA should be left out of this either. If you're going to put your name on a game and completely butcher it and release it in such a state, you got to do everything you can to fix it. People paid $60 for this. You do owe them that. This isn't even the entitled argument. You owe them a fucking functioning, proper game, not this lie that you put out onto the onto discs, pressed them on, and sent them out. You can't give people a fucking legitimate malware on their PlayStation 4s bricking them. You guys remember that? When you're at this point, I think this game needs a rework. It needs to definitely be brought forward, and unfortunately, it's looking as if EA is completely forgetting it. I don't know. Maybe Anthem will go free to play in a year. Maybe. I honestly can't tell you at that moment in time, but it's not looking too good for this game, ladies and gentlemen. But I kind of wanted to ask you guys what you think about it. EA has almost forgotten about it. It's not showing up in their press releases whatsoever, and I'm not getting any mentionings on it. The last thing I heard was this game was bricking PlayStation 4s. And if that's the last piece of press I gotta hear, things ain't looking too good for Anthem. And you know what? I'm there for the community out there. That's really all I gotta say. Ladies and gentlemen, if you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it. Keep EA accountable. This is me, Mudahar, and I am out.